Hare Krishna, everyone. Welcome to this week's edition of the Hare Krishna Project podcast. This is episode number 191. Yes, 191, which means we are just not that way around, nine episodes away from our 100th episode. Do not forget, if you're watching this on YouTube and you haven't already, please hit the subscribe button so you can be kept updated about future podcasts and video productions from the Hare Krishna Project. Or if you're watching this on Facebook, if you haven't already, please do like or follow the Hare Krishna Project Facebook page. Those are the two ways you can watch these podcasts and be kept updated about what we're doing here at the Hare Krishna Project. Okay, episode 191. We are creeping ever closer to episode 200. And as you know, I love to virtually travel all over the world each week to meet our guests. And this week, as you can see, we've had a few technical difficulties, which is why our guest is there. I can assure you he's there, but we're having technical difficulties with different connections and cameras and things. And as I said that, he's just left. He's just left the room. I was about to welcome our guest, who's from Slovenia. And I'm quite sure I've interviewed people from Slovenia before. I was about to welcome Mahaprabhu Gaura Prabhu, who's just left the room. This has never ever happened before. Maybe it was something I said, and I haven't said anything controversial at all yet. So I'm going to keep the recording going and see if he does log back in. We've had a few issues today, but we were determined to record this podcast. A bit of an update then. We are at episode 191, and we are, as I've said already, we are just 9 episodes away from our 200th episode, and we are on track to reach that by the end of this year, possibly well before Christmas. That wonderful event at the end of the year. And it's been great for me over the last 5 years to interview so many people from all over the world. I often joke and say the only place I've not interviewed anyone is from North Korea, which is not true. We've still not interviewed anyone from Afghanistan or Pakistan or Iraq. So there's a few other places to go. I'm just going to see where he is. But I will welcome him back when he comes back into the room. So it's great to have Mahaprabhu Gaura Prabhu with us this week. Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, pleasure to meet you.
I explained when you were away, we've got some technical difficulties. We have had this before here at the Hare Krishna Project. We are determined to make this podcast today. Okay, Mahaprabhu Gaura Prabhu. Great name, by the way. What a great name.
Yeah.
Can you start by telling us a bit about you and where you are from?
Well, I am from Slovenia, which is Southeast Europe, former Yugoslavia. And it's a small country, 2 million people. I was born there in 74. I'm 51 years old. And it's a Catholic country, Slavic, and nice place.
Hmm. Did you have any particular kind of religious or spiritual upbringing at all?
Not much. Actually, in the 80s, 1980s, when I was growing up, it was a communist country. It was anti-religious. So I was indoctrinated against the religion at that time. The religion was like, the Marx said, opium for the masses. And we have the textbook in schools when the monks were like vampires with the teeth and the eyes. And the religion was the source of all evil. The Inquisition, the holy wars, crusades, witch hunts, all the evil in the world.
Wow. So so you grew up under communism,
Yeah, yeah,
and I love how you've kind of reacted against that. And I mean, I've met other devotees before who grew up in Eastern Europe.
yeah.
under communism, and their stories are quite fascinating. So at what point did you want to explore spirituality? How did you discover Krishna consciousness?
Yeah, I was actually, as a child, I was looking for something higher, something. I was asking what happens after that. Who are we truly? Is there a soul? And actually, my grandmother was a Catholic from the countryside because there still were some, we call them backward people from countryside, still believe in some medieval superstitions. So I was seeing the Bible with nice pictures, no? So I was attracted. I was asking her what's all about Jesus and everything. But then it didn't last that much because in high school and university we were indoctrinated in this, materialistic stuff. And that the actually it was also after that there was a war in Yugoslavia, as you know, 91 to 95, when three religions clashed, Catholicism, Orthodoxy, and Islam. On nationalistic basis. So that was another proof. You see, this ethnographic religiosity doesn't work at all. It's a source of evil because people fight all the time about religious denominations, the wars. And then I searched for something transcendental. There must be some transcendence independent of religion. And I found Krishna consciousness is not bound to this ethnographic Hinduism. So it's more like Vedantic, like transcendental mysticism. And this attracted me because all the alternatives of Catholicism, Islam, Orthodoxy, Protestantism, I saw them as not so advanced.
Yeah, yeah. And I know how that feels as well, because sometimes I go to my village church where I'm from,
Yeah,
because I know the people there. And they're nice people, and they're preaching God consciousness, and there's a nice moral message, but I don't feel that it's like a basic level, you know,
yeah,
and I don't feel that it goes deep enough.
yeah, yeah. It seems they're very superficial. It's like one research in Slovenia, one PhD thesis was that on qualitative statistics, and it was doing like some polls, some research, and it was said that devotees, their younger generation, uh, urban background, city background, and they are above the average education. No, and the active Catholics, they are older generations, rural background, and not so educated. So it's a kind of difference. We are the urban Bhakti mysticism, and there is, tied religion tied to ethnicity, ideology, and some clash of civilizations and things like that. No, so it's like two models, and I couldn't connect to that ethnographic model of my ancestry being in this village for 500 years, and it's a part of your soul because you have the blood of your ancestry. Your ancestors love this hill and this river, and this is part of your soul. No, and as we know, Vedanta, Vaishnavism is the opposite. He said you're not this body because you might have been somewhere else in your previous life, and you have nothing to do with your great grandfather dying in World War One and so on. No? It's not part of your soul. No, so it's a different perspective, and I got attracted.
Mm. So in Slovenia,
Yeah.
how did you discover Krishna consciousness?
Yeah, it was in the beginning of the night, it was a boom of Krishna consciousness movement because we got out of communism officially in 91. Although the movement was there in 1983 already, but not so developed. But at official ending of communism, it got like a boom. There was immediately 65 brahmacharis, 14 Namahata groups all across the countries, thousands of people. They got interesting. And also in my small town, I'm from a town of 6,000 people. Immediately about 20 young people got attracted and they told me about it. I became vegetarian. And then at certain point in 95, the books came. So it's a combination of music, books, exploration, little bit of everything.
Wow. Wow. Yeah, it's I always like hearing about different people's experiences.
Yeah.
I don't know what it feels like to live in a country where you don't have religious freedom. And in Britain, I know you have freedom now where you are, well, relative freedom, but in Britain, we've always been fortunate enough to practice whatever religion that you want to. You can go to London and you can wear whatever you want and nobody really cares, you can chant on the streets, nobody's really um that bothered. So that was 30 years ago you joined the Hare Krishna movement.
Yes, yes. I became vegetarian in 93 because these friends of Krishna, they were vegetarian. And I found it, wow, this was something like some big change in my life. I felt great after becoming vegetarian. And then in 94, I was listening to the tapes, cassettes of Mahamantra music. And it felt great. Now we are just listening to these tapes. And
Wow.
then in 95, the books came. So at the beginning, I was afraid of the books because I knew these books are very powerful and I didn't want them. I was terrified. But then finally, when I got six books, I started reading. I just read it day and night. And it felt so great because it was a living philosophy. Just before that, I was studying sociology of culture and cultural anthropology in the university. And we studied about, the oral Hindu traditions and that, but it was very dry. But here, like when you feel Prabhupada, how he's telling the living tradition, then it's just overwhelming. It gets alive in you.
Wow. I'm going to write that down, actually, what you've said, because I really like that. Srila Prabhupada is sharing the living tradition.
Yeah, yeah, very strongly.
So tell us a bit about the Hare Krishna community in Slovenia. How many temples are there? How many groups are there? That kind of thing.
Yeah, Slovenia, as I said, is a small country of 2 million people, but is perhaps the biggest per capita book distribution. I remember in the 90s, we were 14 book distributions. We were distributing every year, and my colleagues there, no, I joined for a time, but before that, every year, the entire country, house per house, even the remote houses in the forest, everybody got books. So it was greatest distribution per capita, and immediately thousands people got interested. And there was a place only for 65 in that building, brahmacharis. But it was a big preaching, like Goranga Bhajan Band, Nityananda Bhajan Band, 3,000 people in the hall, all chanting, dancing, because it was something new. In the early 90s, it was something wow, no? Something new. But then later people, they couldn't relay much because, there are four regulative principles. And the presentation was a bit fanatical also. In that phase, people need to be selected because there was not enough space for everybody. Devotees were packed in 10 devotees in one bedroom. So there was a big selection and you should surrender, you should be very serious. That was the atmosphere.
Wow. Wow. And what about the movement now in Slovenia? Tell us a bit about the temples and the groups now.
Well, the movement in the last 30 years, as a witness, went through some changes. No? At the beginning, the one big temple, big 1,500 something square meter of space in two buildings, three-story buildings, was acquired. The building was acquired with book distribution in the 90s. And there was, like I said, about 14 namahatas, even the small towns, like my town is 6,000 people, and there was up to 18, 19 devotees or aspirants attending the house programs. So it was a kind of boom, but it was not sustainable. It couldn't last for long. And actually, I understood it why, because in the meantime, I was a brahmachari in Italy from 96 to 2005. So Italy was it went through all these phases, fanatical phase, the temple phase, no, and they knew what's going to come in Slovenia. So they told me, no, but this is just temporary. This fanaticism, only the one who lives in the temple is devotee. One who lives outside is not surrender enough, not good enough. They told me, no, this is temporary. Don't worry about that, because this will pass on. There will be a congregational phase. There will be different crises. So I was prepared, kind of, to witness how the movement in Slovenia passes through phases.
Hmm. Okay. Okay. Thank you for sharing that. Can you tell us a bit about the savers and the projects that you're involved with now? And what inspires you to take part in them?
Yeah, it's a kind of survival technique for me to participate still this movement, because a lot of devotees, aspiring devotees, they left. And I wondered why. Why would somebody live if there is a perfect philosophy, perfect diet, every perfect book, everything, lifestyle, culture? Why would people live why wouldn't just tolerate this fanaticism in order to purify their ego? No? So I accepted Jayapataka Swami Maharaj as my spiritual master, who had a congregational vision. He told me that to live outside is actually you get a better devotee, you become better person than living in the temple. For me, this was a shock. So he told me that congregational movement, that outside devotees, they are on equal footing. They're not less than internal devotees,
Mm,
brahmachari sannyasis. And if you preach outside, you should have the dignity of the good standing preacher as well. Not just a brahmachari should have the position and sannyasi. So this vision resonated with my experience with time. First, it was a bit difficult because I was a fanatical brahmachari, but then I realized that a congregational movement is the real thing, and there will be only with time there will be only a handful of brahmacharis, and the rest of us, we should also have this dignity and position of the preacher, and we should do something about it and not depend on the temple, but start our own project, independent congregational projects, and just preach, because we shouldn't ask allowance from the temple to preach,
mm.
because usually the temple was not how to say, favorable to congregational development, because I saw it that congregation tends to be independent, and the temple management tends to control everything. And if you're not under temple's control, you're not preaching even, no? They would say, even if you reach thousands of people with programs. They would say, no, no, this is not preaching because it's not under our control. So this is a temple tendency. But then I learned from my Guru Maharaj that the congregational movement shouldn't bother with this, exclusivism of the temple policies, but just should go on independently and develop in an organic way, not with some policy, some, personnel policy and things, party line, party spirit, but just in organic way, things should develop, no? So this was my understanding of things, how to develop projects.
Mm, mm. Thank you for that, Prabhu. As you probably know, one of the reasons I asked to interview you today is because I'm quite inspired by your own social media channels. And I've noticed that you're very enthusiastic about meeting gurus, leaders, teachers from different Gaudiya Vaishnav groups. Why is that?
Yeah, I guess it started from the beginning, like when I joined the temple in Italy, Villa Vrindavan in 96.
Mm,
There was approximately half temple ISKCON devotees and half of Gaudiya Math within ISKCON temple. They were disciples of Bhakti Vaibhav Puri Maharaj. So they were all ISKCON devotees who were first disciples of Bhagavan, Jagadish, and then Bhakti Vaibhav Puri Maharaj. So we were going along, no, like under the same roof, ISKCON and Gaudiya Math, and I saw it's not such a big thing. I mean, they would canvas. They would say, Puri Maharaj is the only pure devotee, ISKCON gurus are Kanishta Dikaris, and so on. But anyway, we were told it was like a peer discussion, no? So in our Sankirtan group, the three of us took Diksha from Radhanath Swami, which was popular then very much. He came in 95 with a big return. Then I become Jayapataka Swami Maharaj disciple, and two of us group Bhakti Vaibhav Puri Maharaj. So each one shows according to his conscience which charisma to take. No, there was not a pressure. You should only take ISKCON Guru. Actually, it was later because this experiment didn't last. ISKCON
mm.
Gaudiya Math under the same roof. But my experience was on the peer level. It was not a big deal, and also from my hometown. Five of my friends took Diksha in Gaudiya Math. I mean, I remain ISKCON devotees all along, no? But was not a big deal for me. It was almost the same philosophy, and I wanted to learn also from them about culture, you know,
Mm.
because in our societies, sannyasis they sometimes exaggerate in their VIP treatment, like the princess on the P, no? This is, this Anderson story. Yeah. But then I saw that their sannyasis behave normally, like normal people. They don't have VIP treatment. Sometimes I would sit down and a sannyasi would serve prasadam to me
Mm.
and wash my plate and carry my bag. I said, wow, no, maybe we in ISKCON, we can also learn some things from them, no? Because they have this culture which is we are lacking some of that culture, no? So I saw from different groups, especially Gaudiya Maths, that I mean I am there's a saying, the good neighbors make good fences, right? There should be some fences, no? Like also the six Goswamis of Vrindavan, each one his property, his fence, his garden. But then sometimes they would take vegetable from each other's gardens too,
Mm.
no? So
Mm.
there should be some mutual respect, some kind of symbiotic movement,
Mm.
larger movement of many institutions. This is how I understood it.
And I have to say, Prabhu, your experiences are exactly the same as mine. Um, I mean, I think all the sannyasis I've met that are not ISKCON, I personally have found them much more easier to talk to, easier
Yeah,
to get on
accessible
with.
very much. Yeah.
Accessible was a great word. We sit down together, we take prasadam together, and there's that kind of more mutual understanding. Uh, I remember talking to, I must remember his name, Bhakti Sudaveta Swami, who is a sannyas disciple of Narayan Maharaj.
Yeah.
And I was interviewing him about a year ago on this podcast. And he said, Narada, one of the reasons we are like this is because we have to be. We have to carry our own bags. We have to book our own flights. We have to look after ourselves. We don't have a big organization behind us. But I like the fact that these sannyasis are much more humble. I'm not saying sannyasis in ISKCON are not humble. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying my experiences are the same as yours, basically.
Yeah. Yeah, we have a lot to learn from them in ISKCON, and I think they are showing us example how to reform ISKCON, how to make ISKCON more sustainable, because they went through a lot. They are like 100 years experience, Gaudiya Math, and sometimes we isolate ourselves from them.
Mm,
We think that the world started in 1966, no? And before that, there was some just, some Prabhupada's God brothers didn't want to preach, and they are envious of Prabhupada. They are Kanishta Adhikaris, non-cooperative, rejected the order of Guru. So we have the 10 worst cherry-picked bad statements about Prabhupada's God brother, and
mm,
most of the devotees in ISKCON, they stopped their research of their roots at that point. Prabhupada
mm,
says his God brothers are useless, period. Nothing to learn from that. No? We just drop out of vacuum in 1966 and that's it.
mm,
We make our own experience without other roots. Yeah, there was some Goswamis, there was some Vishwanath Chakravarti, some books, Bhakti Vinod, but it's not our living tradition. Our living tradition only started in 66, and before that we cannot learn. Not so. This is the, I think, great impediment in our movement.
I think you've kind of just answered this, but does it upset you or frustrate you or make you sad that ISKCON still has this kind of club mentality, this mentality that it's like an evangelical Christian, it's like them and us, and there's this wall. Because in my opinion, the main block to Gaudiya Vaishnava groups getting on better is ISKCON. They're the only block.
Yes, yes, I would agree. But even ISKCON is not homogeneous. It's not. There are a lot of varieties within ISKCON, and some ISKCON devotees they live in Gaudiya Math temples, and vice versa. No, one is a head pujari in ISKCON. He's from officially not ISKCON Diksha Guru, and so on. No, so there's a lot of these experiences that shows us that we can learn from other groups, and that Prabhupada Anuga it extends beyond ISKCON. No, there's
Mm,
a diaspora of Prabhupada disciples went to Sridhar Maharaj, Narayan Maharaj, and so on, Babajis, and they still love Prabhupada. No? Like I met one sannyasi who went out of ISKCON 43 years ago, and he reads Prabhupada books every day. When he speaks about Prabhupada, he cries. No? He said, I read Krishna book 300 times. He keeps reading, and his disciples, they keep reading Chaitanya Charitamrita, Bhagavatam, Gita, everyday Bhagavad Gita, only Prabhupada books. No? So for me, that is Prabhupada Anuga too.
mm,
No, it's not confined only to ISKCON, but extends, can be Ritviks, can be Gaudiya Math, so many groups that because Prabhupada can embrace much more than the narrow institution and political correctness of this, groupie movement. No, I think
Yeah.
Prabhupada is much greater than that. No,
Yeah, yeah. And that's certainly one of the conversations you and I have had over the last couple of weeks via Messenger is
yeah,
that Prabhupada is much bigger than ISKCON. And I mean, I have a god brother in South Korea, and he gave me the term 2 months ago that I really like. It's called the body of Srila Prabhupada,
yeah,
where it's all the followers of Prabhupada, whether they're ISKCON or Bliss or Hare Krishna Project or League of Devotees or whatever. It's a big body. It's a big group of people.
yeah.
Um, this might sound like a silly question, but I'm going to ask it. Why is it important for, or why would you like to see those devotees that are in the body of Prabhupada, followers of Prabhupada, or Prabhupada Anugas, why would you like to see them work together more?
Yeah, usually Prabhupada, as we know, said, ISKCON is my body. No? But devotees generally consider a body like material body made of bricks. There, Prabhupada left certain buildings behind, shrines, like certain objects that he used, the rooms he was living in. And some devotees consider this is our legacy, our heritage, is is some conglomerate of buildings, and we should administrate those buildings. Like you have the medieval monasteries, right? And you go to the monastery, and they tell you this wall is for 13th century, this window is for 14th century. But then you don't perceive the spirit of the founder. Okay, this saint founded in 13th century. How we connect to him? Okay, I see there is a window, there is a ceiling, there is a tower. No, there is a nice Gothic architecture. But how can I perceive the founder? This is a so the real thing is the Vani, the teachings. No, not much the buildings. And some people, some devotees get oriented to become kind of clerks to maintain the buildings, and maintain the structure, the personnel policy, and they call it this is the ISKCON. No? Like a friend told me last time the GBC went to her place, and the GBC said, "Do you accept my authority?" And she said, "I don't know. I don't know you. I see you for the first time. I don't know who you are. I don't have a relationship." And the GB says, "And no, you must accept my authority first, blindly. Then only we can speak." And then she turned up crying for 1 week, no? Because she couldn't understand why is somebody bullying me into accepting authority. No? It should be organic. I should have a relationship with people, not just some administrator of the one project of the building and so on. No,
Mm.
should be a different kind of thing, not a relationship with clerks. No, but should be sadhu sangha. No? So this is a bit of a contract between Vani and Vapu. Vapu movement, the movement of buildings, and the movement of teachings and culture. No?
Mm. Mm. Yeah, absolutely. I agree with everything you're saying, and uh, it's it's essential that a great comparison, I would say, is the way that Christians relate to Jesus. And you've kind of alluded to that. So Jesus is for everybody who wants to follow him. Jesus isn't just for the buildings or the institutions or the organizations. Anyone can follow Jesus, even on their own, in their own home. And I would say that's the same as Prabhupada. We can follow Prabhupada whoever you are or wherever you're from.
Yes, yes. True, yeah. Usually you get saints, also in the church, Christian church, who are kind of, they are obedient to the church, but they are also mystics. They transcend this obedience. They tolerate, or kind of, they are transcendental, and they don't mind being obedient blindly to wrong people. But then they make a reform from within. No?
mm,
And I was told that this is much more powerful than to go out of the group. Because they told me, one sannyasi told me, you can criticize ISKCON if you're inside ISKCON. Then you can criticize because you're constructive. You think, you ruminate how to improve ISKCON through your criticism, no? But if you go out, then it's more difficult. They will say, "Oh, he's like, he's not part of our group, so he is destructive. It's a kind of vengeance for the past. No, this person doesn't want to collaborate anymore, and is exaggerating with criticism. No, so I think the first model is much more powerful. If you stay within a group, you take all these bullying strategies of the leadership for your own for your purification. No, I
mm,
should get purified. Okay, I'm not. And then you try from within. You try to improve. You try to develop your example. And then the people, the good people will follow it. I think this is a good model.
mm, mm. No, thank you for that, and thank you for sharing. I've been very inspired by looking at a lot of the videos and photos on your own social media profiles of all the different devotees you're meeting, and it's great to see. I think recently you've been traveling. Have you been outside of Slovenia recently? Slovenia.
Yes, I was outside Croatia, Austria, especially. I was in one temple, Rada Gopinath in Pula, which is in Croatia.
Yeah.
It's the only Prabhupada disciple from 1974. He joined from all former Yugoslavia, from all West Balkans. There's only one. And he left ISKCON in 82,
Mm,
but he's like Prabhupada man. He's like teaching how to love and follow Prabhupada. So I got inspired with that, and also different groups I go around.
mm, mm. Yeah, it's been great to see your photos and videos. Prabhu, I think you're a great person to ask for me to ask this. Um, if you were given 5 minutes on every TV station and every radio station in the world at prime time, 7 o'clock at night, you were given a platform, you were given 5 minutes to give a message, what would you say?
Yeah, I would say that we are the universal spirituality of loving God. Now we have a very good program of how to love God, and we are very close, especially to Christianity. I
Mm,
would emphasize that, no, because people generally think there is a Abrahamic trilogy of traditions like Christianity, Islam, Judaism, and there is other religions which are not monotheistic at all, like Hinduism, Buddhism, and so on.
mm,
And I
mm,
would emphasize, no, we are monotheistic as well, and we are even closer to Christianity than Islam and Judaism is. Because if you ask Jewish and Islamic scholar, they would say that Christianity is polytheistic. Father, Son, Holy Ghost is it's impossible to be monotheism. It's only Unitarian monotheism is the real. But we understand that also Trinitarian monotheism is real superior
mm,
monotheism.
mm.
And besides Father, Son, Holy Ghost, we have much more theology and philosophy to explain it.
Yeah.
Quadruple monotheism, Chaturvyuha, Radha Krishna, everything. We have such a great explanation. Beda, most of the Jesus teachings, 80% are uh, are compatible with our philosophy. No? So I would emphasize in on this kind of dialogue, which is very underdeveloped. No? It's avoided. No? They say, yeah, your Hinduism means Advaita Vedanta and or polytheism, paganism, no, and period. No, I said no. we need to explore this dimension. There is so much compatibility with
mm,
our
mm,
traditions of Christianity, no? The major world religion and so on.
mm, mm. That's a great message, actually. No one, I often use this question in different interviews, different podcasts, and no one has given that answer before in terms of saying we're kind of like the Christians. And I
Yeah,
guess it makes sense because the Christianity is still the biggest religion in the world. And particularly in the West, you need to kind of get through to the Christians, with that message.
of course, yeah. And therefore, Bhaktivinoda Thakur and also Prabhupada, they adopted our presentation, our language and philosophy to the Christian world. No, they will use examples from the Bible because to show that we are very compatible. No,
Mm,
that the unconditional love. God loves us regardless of all. We don't need to earn the love of God. He already loves us unconditionally, and bhakti means to be grateful, to reciprocate in gratefulness for His love. Not that we have to build up the merit and the credit to be loved by God. Now with Vaidhi sadhana, so we have a lot of things to explain that we are compatible, that we share the same the topmost understanding of theistic evolution. No?
mm, mm. Yeah, I love that. I love that. Um, Thank you for sharing that. And I think people would listen to that message as well. If I'm a Christian or living in a Christian country, I think I definitely my ears would be like, wow. Yeah, thank you for that, Prabhu. Okay. Another question I'm always keen to ask people to get their thoughts, and I think you might have some good thoughts on this. How can we attract more people, particularly Western people? How can we attract more Western people to Krishna consciousness?
Yeah, this is a good question because basically there are two models. One model is that some preachers of our movement they say that the goal of our movement is to bring Vedic culture to the world. It sounds funny a bit, no? They believe that Maha Mantra and the Sankirtan is just a means to Vedicize everybody, that everybody become Vedic in some way, also in the Western world. So this is one approach, no? That Prabhupada came to give Vedic culture. But the second approach is that the Sankirtan is the essence beyond cultural differences. Like we have the philosophy of Yukta Vairagya, no? As you know, means that things outside of Vedic culture, they are also offerable to Krishna. No? Like if you go to Siberia, and the Shastra said you should offer mango to the Lord. But there is no mango there. There is a mango from deep freeze, which is green and tasteless. But then in Siberia, for example, you have a forest berries. And I think Krishna would be much more happy to get those berries, no?
Mm,
Because they are offerable as well, no? Not only fruits from South Asia, Indian subcontinent are offerable to the world, but the Lord extends because He is not the the Lord of the ethnocentric Hinduism, but of the entire planet, Africa, South America, North America. And I think that this doctrine, this philosophy of Yukta Vairagya is very important
mm,
and we should explain to ourselves and to others that, like Rupa Goswami, in 16th century, there was a Muslim Mughal Raj, the Muslim empire, no? But he adapted. He showed you can build temples in Muslim architecture from red sandstone. No? The same temple like mosque, almost like mosque, but is a temple. You can put clothes on Krishna like a Mughal prince, no? Like a Muslim prince. You can offer Turkish dishes, like some sweets with the Turks They're also offerable. No? It's only pastry and sugar. And you can sit on Vyasasan, which is a royal throne of Muslim emperors. You know, there's Vyasasan in Delhi, Agra, Tehran, in Topkapi, Istanbul. It's a seat like a Vyasasan, but this royal seat is the seat of Vyasa. He's the real emperor. No? So you, in this same way, you can use everything. You can extend not Vedic culture to the entire world because this is not realistic. It will never work. But through Yukta Vairagya, you can uh, recognize which things they are offerable to Krishna and then inculturate, I think is the word. You can, like, you know, the Mary Jesus in Africa is black, in Japan is like with these Japanese eyes. So similarly, we can also use that strategy to bring Krishna consciousness to Eskimos, to Africans, to everybody.
Yeah, yeah. I feel like you and I agree on like almost everything. I mean, like it's obvious that I'm in the second group of people. I think the term I want to use to the first model that you talked about, I want to use the term Indianization. So, you know, are people going to Indianize the world? Absolutely not. You know, can you go to rural France or rural England and tell people to wear dhotis and kurtas? No. But can you share with them the Bhagavad Gita and tell them that actually all you need to do is add Krishna to your life? You can still wear your regular clothes. You can still go to your church. You can still watch football. You can still
Yeah.
watch the news program if you want to. All Prabhupada is, well, Prabhupada is saying lots of things, but ultimately add Krishna to your life. And Jesus said exactly the same thing when he was challenged by the Pharisees. Put God first.
Yes, yes, it's the Christian inculturation and Vaishnava Yukta Vairagya, they're very similar, almost identical. And we see the Christian model works. No? We don't see like demanding, Christian demanding you should wear like a first century Jew in Palestine. No? Only then you can join our church. Otherwise, you're not sincere enough. It doesn't work. If they would preach like that, almost nobody would join. No? So
Hmm.
I think also like programs, I'm not part of Krishna West, but I think it's a good strategy that our movement should include different strategies. No, some people in our movement they are more smart alike, and I think that is legitimate. Let them inspire their kind of people because there will always be people who will like brag that I didn't put the dhoti off for 40 years. I never wear trousers, and okay, you are great. No problem. If this is your sense of being Krishna conscious, okay, good for you. No, but my way is perhaps different. No, so let us both live and let live. No. Like I had a Harinam group, and sometimes it was a problem because there was a policy only dhoti, no? And some devotees they were fried with it. And other people said no, on zero dhoti, only trousers. But I said let's be half half. Let's be who feels good in dhoti. Let's like for example me, I'm wearing the dhoti in Harinam Sankirtan. No, I like it. But if somebody is like not liking it, why not? Okay, wear trousers, no problem. Feel good, no? This is more important. You shouldn't force yourself to do something. So if you don't feel, so I think we should accommodate all specter of preaching strategies
Mm, mm.
and make our own example and inspire our kind of people, like-minded devotees of conservative, liberal, or whatever kind of walk of life. No.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And you and I could talk more about it if we had time. Um, but I know that you haven't got all the time in the world today.
Yeah, I have
Uh,
10 more minutes.
you have 10 more minutes. That's great. That's
Yeah.
great. It, if and what I'm going to do, if it's okay with you, with this podcast, I'm going to put a link to your social media page if
Yeah.
you want, your Facebook page, because
Okay.
I'm not just saying, I genuinely find it very inspiring. And I kept seeing all these photos and all these videos of different Gaudiya Vaishnava groups and you meeting people. I thought, wow, I have to interview this guy because, well, I'm on the same page as you. I don't like this tribalism. You know, I hate the thought that
Yeah.
tribalism even exists in the Gaudiya Vaishnava tradition.
I
And it,
think it should be there. No, it should be there. It's a part of our, because some people should be accommodated in their tribalist mentality. We can learn something from there too,
yeah, I guess so. Yeah, I guess so. That's a good way to look at it.
but they shouldn't be exclusivist. They shouldn't impose
Yes.
themselves on others or look down on other devotees who are not tribalist.
Yes. Yes. Inclusive tribalism. No. No. Yeah. Okay, so I'll put a link to your Facebook page. I think what I'm going to do now, Prabhu, is I'm going to say goodbye to the viewers and listeners at home. Stay in the Zoom room. I know you're there. And we'll have a brief debrief before we have to go. How does that sound?
Okay.
Great. So even though we saw him briefly at the beginning, even though we can't see him, I'm incredibly grateful to
Yeah.
Mahaprabhu Gaura Prabhu, great name, for being our 191st guest on the Hare Krishna Project podcast. Thank you for your time, Prabhu. We really
Hare
appreciate it.
Krishna. Thank you for your, it's a pleasure.
And I will make sure that you can all contact Mahaprabhu Gaura Prabhu via his Facebook page and see some of the fantastic content that he is creating. Do not forget, if you're watching this podcast on YouTube and you haven't already, please hit the subscribe button so you can be kept updated about future podcasts and video productions from the Hare Krishna Project. And or if you're watching this on Facebook and you haven't already, please do like or follow the Hare Krishna Project Facebook page. As well as these podcasts, you know, we also organize Hare Krishna festivals, school visits, kirtans, book distribution. So we're very busy here in the UK, and thanks to our partners through the League of Devotees, we are in other places around Europe as well. Okay, so until next week, we'll see you all soon. Thank you. Hare Krishna.